It's Friday, y'all, and our
It's Friday.
Alexa is just going off in the other room, I guess. Thanks
Okay.
for right when I tune in, making sure that I hydrate. I had to go and get some wine because I saw that you had some wine. We can virtually cheers. There you
We're
go.
oh, cheers.
Cheers. There you go.
I need everybody to tune in right now. Um, I'm also Insta chatting, Snapchatting, whatever it's called. So if you're watching this now, click my link in my bio.
I love that. All right, for everybody who's on here who might not know me yet, I'm Chris. I go by Voices Chris on social media in general. This show that you're watching right now, I call it Hell Yes, and it's all about celebrating the creative process and everyone who is a part of that. And so on Wednesdays, we listen to unreleased demos, provide constructive criticism, celebrate new releases as a community. And then on Fridays, we get to interview people that I admire, and our guest tonight is Lisa Go. Lisa
Hi.
Go, go, go. This is the most fun last name. But besides having the most fun last name, like you're also one of the first people that I came across that was really championing pop music in Nashville specifically.
Mm.
And the fact that you've been involved with just about every aspect and every step of a song I think is going to make for a really interesting interview, like not only for me but for you, and for everybody who's watching, because we're going to talk about literally creating the song to performing the song to even the like events that you'd have to put on because nobody was putting on events for pop music. So it's just cool that you have that whole background, and I'm excited to dive in about that. And at any time, if anybody in the chat's got a question for Lisa or for me, please drop that in the chat. Um, and if you're ever looking for, of course, I'm not typing correctly. These are Lisa's socials and her website. If you want to jump, oh crap, is that doing? Did it just make one giant? It just made one giant link. Damn you, Nightbot. I will fix that right now. But um, while we're doing that, I wanted to, and before getting into music, I wanted to start about and talking about like just the very beginning and what it was like where you grew up. Not like,
Mhm.
and leave music out of it at first. Let's just talk about vibe and culture and all those things. I wanna hear what was going on for. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry. My Twitch was talking.
Oh, okay. Can you see the chat on your end?
No, but it's okay. We're good.
Oh, okay. If you go to Twitch and you go to my page, you just have to just mute me so you don't get the feedback because there's going to be a delay.
Okay. Well, while I'm doing that, yeah, I grew up in Santa Barbara, and I know that's kind of sounds pretty crazy. I feel like a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, "Okay, you're I don't know, maybe hoity-toity, or you grew up with a spoon in your mouth, or something not very nice." That's just kind of the reaction I get. um and I understand that now from the experiences that I've had not living in Santa Barbara. My parents worked really hard. Like, I grew up in Los Angeles in a one bedroom apartment. Hold on, trying to mute this. Sorry. So yeah, my grandparents had an apartment building. My dad was actually working. He was playing drums and doing some stuff with Capitol Records. I know it's just part of my growing up. And then he decided he didn't want to be in music anymore and visited Santa Barbara, loved it, became a general contractor, and then eventually moved my mom and dad up to where I'm at right now, actually. And I loved it. I had no idea how, like, just the upbringing that I had. Like, I had the ocean, the mountains, the snow, and all of my friends' parents were entrepreneurs. So like we all watched our parents go from nothing to something. So I definitely think that's made me who I am and appreciative again, like knowing that everything that my parents have and how I grew up, it didn't just happen, It took a lot of hard work to get here and to be able to live in this incredible place. Like I wish I could turn the screen around because I'm literally looking at a view of Santa Barbara, and I love coming home because it's like no other place in the world. Like I've gotten to go to a lot of places, and I guess it reminds me of Spain and Italy a little bit, but it's just kind of like I think it's definitely formed my heart and belief on how we need to treat the earth, just seeing like what fires can do and how recycling is really important. And when it comes to music, like I did grow up down the street with Katy Perry, and Jack Johnson was a friend of like our youth groups, which was really interesting. And I was friends with Jeff Bridges' daughter, like just very bizarre, regular things in my life. After growing up and traveling and living in Nashville, it's like, okay, this isn't normal.
But it probably felt super normal for you. And were there fires happening when you were younger, or was
There was
it?
more flooding actually, which now we have a lot of droughts. But there were still fires. Like we could see them, but they were controlled at the time. So a lot of the controlled fires were done with, the Indian population here, or the Native American population, and then they stopped that and they weren't allowed. But I mean, I grew up having bonfires on the beach and that you can't have anymore. And that was like the perfect place to grab a guitar and make up songs or, be really young and drunk and sing Sublime.
Well, as you do in California. I mean, I guess that would be Southern California in general, but
Mhm.
no. And you grew up like Japanese, Italian, or as you call Japalian. Is that how you
Mhm.
pronounce it?
Yeah.
And
So my
like,
mom,
I was gonna say, what influence did that have, like, on just everyday life, food? Like, I mean, there had to be some interesting
oh
uh,
yeah.
meals.
It's I had no idea like until so I went to college in Chicago and I met this really southern girl named Bethany, which by the way, I'd never met a Bethany in my life, which I had no idea what a normal regular name that was because my friends' names were like Chanel and Leaf and like, like really to me normal names. And so I met this girl Bethany, and she was like, "Hey, what you doing for Easter? I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. You want to come?" And I was like, "Okay." And I remember calling my mom. I was like, "They have these things called twice baked potatoes, and there's like collard greens, and like I didn't know that cream corn was supposed to be warm, because or not warm, yeah, warm, right? Is it warm or is that my family? I can't remember anymore. I don't
I
really
don't know. I grew up in Florida, and it's not really like it barely counts as
doesn't
south
make
or
sense
anywhere. Like on the coast, it's just kind of a mix of like people from random places, and
everywhere.
and everyone's weird. So even if it was supposed to be warm, they'd probably eat it cold. I don't know. So I'm the least qualified person to tell you what cream. So if anybody in the chat knows whether cream corn should be cold or hot, please let us know.
I think I'm like starting to see stuff now finally. So I grew up being Japanese and Italian and growing up a little bit on the Buddhist Catholic side of things, which is really interesting for me, because I got to experience kind of both worlds in a sense and understand where, sorry, it says my internet connection is unstable. So
Oh, we're getting a feed over. It doesn't look unstable over here. It looks completely stable.
love it. Love it. Just checking in. Just checking in. But yeah, I think my dad is extremely passionate. And like last night we got into the sauce and we were just like going at it. And we have exchange students. And the one exchange student we have now is from Saudi Arabia. And it was kind of awesome because I guess she kind of is very passionate in her family. I think anyone would see my dad and I argue and be really concerned. Like we are just really passionate people. And at the end of every night, we always make sure we say we love each other. And, it was just a debate and whatever, there's no harm done or anything. And then my mom is like a Japanese angel goddess, and she's just like, "Na, na, 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 na," and just
So,
like
so your dad's Italian, just Italian, or is he Italian Japanese? Like,
no, my dad is straight up Italian. He's got some Irish in him, a little bit of Welsh, and then my mom is just full Japanese also. So I'm pretty 50-50, but then I've got like, I did one of those Gen 20 test things with my sister, and we're both like, yeah, Irish, Welsh, African, because apparently everyone's African, which I love. That's where I got my soul from, but I don't, yeah. So we're just a good little hoppa, half and halfer,
yeah, and
and
then
lots of good food. Lots of
we
good
we
food.
had we had done we had done one of the like DNA tests recently, and it was like I was like overwhelmingly like French, Italian, like mostly French and some Italian. That's where the last
I'm a
name
little
comes from.
French. I'm a little French as well.
I feel like aren't we
Very
all just a
little.
little French? But oh, the
So
Claude, thanks for the bits earlier, by the way, and I'm glad that you enjoy popping in here, not having to. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm always trying not to interrupt them, but at the same time, we're also trying to read the chat a little bit. I'm 100% that bitch, 100%. Thanks, the Claw. Um, so I was gonna ask, with you mentioned your dad playing drums, but what music were your parents listening to? I feel like a lot of people get influenced by what their like family is listening to. Did was that
yeah.
was that the case for you? And like, was it the same music? Was it different? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely listened to I grew up with a Victrola. It was like one of the only things my dad inherited from his dad. And
a what?
a Victrola.
What is
So
that? I
like
don't know what that is.
it's so RCA Victor,
Yeah.
like record label, and it's the dog, and he's next to that like record player. So that's where Victor, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe it's a short end of Victrola, which is a stand-up record player. It's a really old record player,
Mm.
and it's like this really beautiful piece, and my dad used to play it every now and then, and I just fell in love with kind of like the whole 20s sound, and again,
Is that the
like,
thing with the like brass horn?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
can. I think my dad doesn't have the brass. It's like a little bit more modern, but yeah, RCA Records was, which we'll talk about that like later, I'm sure, but like that was my first big label cut, was with RCA, which was really cool for me since that was like the first knowledge of a record label that I knew and was. But then we not only listened to that, and I grew up with my grandparents a lot too, just being young and my parents working a lot. And they used to always listen to a lot of disco on record. So it was like the Bee Gees and like Ring My Bell, and like it just, I love listening to that music, which
So
definitely
everything going on right now has got to be pretty extra nostalgic for you, right?
so nostalgic for me. And then Sade, I mean, Sade was my first concert. I think I was like 5. I like asked my mom to perm my hair, so she curled it really tight. And Basha, so I had a dog named Basha. Basha is a Czechoslovakian jazz singer. Um, so yeah, I had very interesting, probably more different influences, and I think a lot of people. Like, I didn't get into the Beatles till probably junior high because my other friends were into the Beatles, and that was their parents' influence. Or like, I honestly didn't even get into Sublime until like that was like totally a high school thing where it was like, they were like, "Oh, did you hear about what happened to the guy from Sublime?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." And I was like, there's no Google. So I was like, "Who's Sublime?" And I'm listening to like
You're at the
Incubus.
library, like
Yeah. Like I'm at like, you know, what record store, Hollywood Records. And I'm like, "What's Sublime?" Like all this stuff. And I'm listening to Ben Folds 5 and Incubus and Barbie Girl, and what was one of the other bands I really liked? Oh, Portishead. I was in love with Portishead. And I just liked these really different sounds that no one really was into in my group of friends or family. And I mean, Alanis Morissette, oh my gosh. So like I bought this Alanis Morissette CD, Jagged Little Pill, like great CD. I loved the writing. I was just obsessed. I couldn't wait to like rip open the thing and just read every single lyric. And I had it, we only had one CD player and I had it in the living room. My parents weren't home. So I was like cleaning the house, listening to it. And I forgot to take it out of the CD player. And my mom listens and she hears like all the profanity.
You
And she
wanna
gets,
know?
yeah. And like how he's going down and like,
Yeah.
fucking her. Oh, she might be watching right now. So I'm like,
Well,
Mom,
I did change the stream to say it's mature, so people know coming into
okay.
this what to expect. So you can say all the profanities you want. Hi, mom. I was in a call. I went through a drive-through light show with my in-laws, and she's like, I was like, hey, I was like, thanks for tuning into the stream, and she's like, yeah, she's like, the mentioning the porn thing was weird, but I was just laughing because I know that it like would make her uncomfortable. So I don't know why. I just like find this like comedic relief and just that with that relationship with like specifically my mother-in-law, like in the discomfort there. She might be watching right now. I don't know.
Cool.
Just
It
just
was
just know that it's a lot of fun and that I love you no matter what. But
well, so not only did I buy the CD and she found it, she made me go back to the store that I bought it from. And I bought it from, I had a crush on this dude who was working there.
oh, you had to
And she
return
made
it.
me, I returned a CD and then oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. And I was like, I have to return this because my mom says I can't have it.
Oh
But
no.
I recorded it on tape so I could hear it in my car. So
Oh, ahead of the curve, like recording it. So, but how is the quality of that? Because the mix on that record's already pretty horrible. Like, and then for you to do it, to record it to tape, I feel like probably only made it worse. And by the way, like it's horrible in the same way that like there's some badly mixed Prince records, but like it's the character of that record at the time, specifically Alanis, made it interesting. I feel like there's
and
like
I
a
think
character
that's
to that mix.
what it was. It had like that grit and that honesty to it. I don't even know because I really wasn't as well. I don't think I knew I was as aware of production then. I was so focused on the lyrics and the content and her timing and things and melodies and stuff. I think I was just like, whatever's with the production. Like, this is dope, And then Fiona Apple, I think, was what I got into right after her. But yeah, all of that. It was just like, meh.
And
I just felt like a rebel.
and then I mean you talked about that the guy you had to return the CD to. Did you work like any jobs that weren't music related like before getting into music stuff?
So many.
Like
Honestly, like all my jobs were non-music related. Because even though my parents and my dad, my dad was in music, I think because he understood the struggle, he didn't really want me to be part of it. I was actually acting for a long time. So I don't think they really were big fans of that either. They're like, oh, this is a fun, sweet hobby. Now let's talk about you getting a real job. And that's why I didn't get into music forever. Like I actually had been, what's the word, pursued by Tooth and Nail. And I didn't know what Tooth and Nail was. And I just thought they were crazy. And I was like, you want me to write for you? Like I had no idea because I was told that I needed a real job. So like my first job was at Hallmark. I was like the worst
what
job.
did you do there?
I did meet the Backstreet Boys. That was pretty cool. But
You met the Backstreet Boys working at Hallmark?
yes, I did. They were buying Mother's Day cards and I got to
Like
help them.
together?
Yeah,
Like
it was like Kevin and Brian Luttrell and Nick Carter wasn't in there because I had like the biggest crush on him. And then AJ came in and was like, "Hey guys, we gotta go." Which, funny enough, I ended up meeting AJ like 2 years later at a Britney Spears concert that I was with Katy at, and he was in the suite with us with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. My life is weird. I'm just saying. Right now. But he was like,
but
"Why
not,
do I know you?"
nothing is weirder to me than all of or most of the Backstreet Boys, I guess, not all, but most, because you said Nick wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's a weird. Nothing is weirder to me than the fact that there was no like film crew. There wasn't like a thing
No,
like they were
no.
just
But
naturally like all together at Hallmark getting. It just
mhm.
seems like a thing that they wouldn't do. But like, and then not only that, but like I personally have a hard time when I'm like looking at a bunch of cards, like picking one. Let alone if I had like dudes in my band with me to try to figure that out. Like that feels like a nightmare. So.
Oh, so there was a lot of joy in working at Hallmark. I think it definitely like leans into a lot of my writing in a funny way. And I definitely I've had friends ask me to write them wedding songs, and I didn't know what that mindset was to be to get ready for a wedding at the time. And this was more in college, and I would go to the Hallmark in Chicago and I would just read wedding cards, ton of them. And then I'd write down things that I liked about what they said. And then I'd curate a song that way. But Hallmark, I basically like would fill all the holes of the cards, and then I would dust every single precious moment, tie Beanie Baby, like you name it, I dusted. I loved cleaning the bathroom because I mean I didn't have to see or talk to anybody, which I do like talking to people, but it was just like very exhausting. And then I had this one couple, it was their elderly couple, one was blind and one was deaf. And they really liked when I helped them find cards. So they would like touch the cards and I would like explain it to them. Cause even though the one guy was like deaf, he couldn't see soup, he couldn't read really well. So I would just hang out with them and they'd be like, okay, now we need to find a card for our son-in-law. And they'd like tell me all this stuff. And I was like, I think this is the perfect one. That was probably what I looked forward to about that job. And then I
Was it like picking the sentiment based on what the people were looking for? So it was almost like kind of songwriting, but using like pre-written things. That's really cool.
yeah. And then I left there to work at a restaurant that ended up being owned by a cokehead. Like,
Oh
it was
man,
great,
that
but
sounds
it
like
was
I worked
so
at a
fun.
cheeseburger, and it was very much like that. It was like I was a busboy and catching them doing drugs, but not knowing what they were when I was like 14. I don't even think I was technically legally allowed to work there, but I did. I don't think they really cared about what was legal and what wasn't. So
You're like, I need to
it
make
just
money, honey.
but after like Hallmark stuff, like what other gigs did you have that weren't music related? I'm really
So,
curious because I feel like some of this stuff, even just this Hallmark thing, I feel like there were signs of like you doing what you do now in that. So I'm just curious,
for
like
sure.
where else you might have been.
So I after that I oh wait, actually what did I do after that? After Hallmark, I worked at a bakery. I worked at Starbucks, I think. I have had so many
Wait,
jobs.
is the bakery in your mind Starbucks or was it bakery and then
No,
Star?
I
Okay,
worked
I was like I've never heard somebody call Starbucks a
I
bakery.
worked at this bakery called Starbucks. No, it was no,
Like maybe
I
in Santa Barbara. I don't know.
yes, bakery is called Starbucks. It's very luxurious. I did meet Britney Spears in that Starbucks, but I didn't really care about her as much as I cared about Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney from Boy
Oh
Meets
man.
World. I fangirled so hard, and all he wanted, he was like, "I'll have a cup of coffee and a paper, please." And I was like, "You don't want like an espresso or like a fancy drink?" He was like, "No, just a cup of coffee." And I was like, "Okay, but I want to make something for you." Oh, it was so great. So
That's such a like a I feel like a really like West Coast thing. Maybe New York gets to enjoy some of that, but like
mm,
in Nashville, they're just like Blake
oh,
Shelton's
totally.
over there or whatever.
Well, I think that's how it was with Brittany. Like she came in, it was like, okay, and then like Rob Lowe used to come in with his kids all the time. I ended up like babysitting his kids once. Like there's just like
Someone's
Santa Barbara.
asking, by the way, how you're meeting all these famous people by working in a Starbucks, but I think in general it has more probably to do with where you are located, right? Or
Yes.
like, okay.
I was located in Santa Barbara, but I was more specifically located in an area called Montecito, which is where like Oprah and Ellen live, and a lot of affluent. Actually, what's his name? Country artist lives there. Um, I can't remember his name, but yeah, there's a couple country artists that live there. Actually, I think Prince Charles just is it Charles or Harry? Harry and
Megan.
him. Yeah, they just moved to Montecito.
That
Such a weird town.
that's wild.
I know. It's something that like again, like I see it as these are those people's jobs and this is where they chose to live. And very similar to Nashville, people don't really bother you or go up to you as much. So that's I think why when I met the Backstreet Boys at Hallmark, they didn't have anybody with them. It's an outdoor mall. It was like closing. It's like very inconspicuous. There's no way, I mean, a lot of the stores are kind of like very high end, but kind of old lady stores. They're not gonna like, there's like a Talbot's and then like a Chico's, and then there's J. Crew and Hallmark. So I think that's why they picked it. I don't know. I think there was a Sears at the time.
That's funny.
But during that, I was also funny enough, I forgot about this, but I had a neighbor who had a ton of chickens. And I noticed that a bunch of the eggs were just laying around. And I was like, hey, so can
what
I?
a weird picture of a place you live in.
I know. Oh my God. Okay. Side note, I was on a run today and I thought I saw a bear butt on a stool. And I was like,
What do you mean a
no,
bear? What do you mean a bear butt
like a
on a stool?
bear ass, like a sex toy. Like I
Oh,
thought I
oh
saw
my
that.
God.
And as I'm
on,
running,
on a stool.
I did see a bear butt sex toy on a stool. But
Okay,
I
so
think
we just so
he was rinsing off. I I have footage. This is true. I know this is horrible.
I think we should just end the stream here. So this is the peak of it, everybody.
Welcome to my life. This is the things I write
Let
about.
let's go back to let's go back to chickens. So
So the chickens. Okay, so the chickens, and I noticed that there was like a bunch of eggs, and I was like, man, these eggs are just kind of getting wasted because they're not nothing happened. So I asked her, I said, can I sell some of your eggs? I'll give you like a quarter for everything I sell. So I was like, I think like 13 at the time. So this was like right
just
before
hustling
Hallmark.
eggs. You're just like
I was just hustling
I got
eggs.
eggs.
Yeah, Santa Barbara is wild. We have sorry, I can finally see the things, but we have a bar called Wildcat that we call Shitty Kitty, and it's amazing. Anyways, shout out to Santa Barbara bars that aren't happening right now.
So you
Um,
hustled these eggs.
so I hustled the eggs. That was like my first entrepreneurial job. But then, yeah, I ended up getting a job at Hallmark. After Hallmark, I was at Starbucks, which really taught me a lot about like just people and connecting with people because we had to know their names, we had to know their drinks. Like you end up, I met really incredible songwriters. Like I don't know if you guys know who Peter Noon is, but he was in a band that I'm now forgetting. But it was like around the time of like the Monkees and stuff. He had a popular song, so he and I used to like talk about what it was like being in London and becoming a star and all that stuff. And after that, I ended up being at the restaurant with the that ended up the cokehead, and that was wild. That was on the beach, and that was an incredible job because I have a lot of anxiety and an anxiety to perform well. And I think that job, I had another coworker who was like, notice my stress and anxiety if something wasn't going right. And she taught me like how to calm down, value my own time, and not just do everything that everyone wanted me to do. And so I was able to, it really honestly taught me how to put on shows, to be like, I'm going to give you the best show, but I need to have my time and not stress out about what you're stressed out about right now. And we can kind of, go there on the next step. But when you're running a restaurant and you're the hostess and you've got, drunk people are upset, people lost reservations, whatever, it's like you have to put your best face on and try to make them not pissed off and keep them happy, even though they're hangry. And that job was so fun. I mean, like it was on the ocean. We closed at 10 and we used to watch the MTV 10 spot. All the guys were older than me. So they were like treating me like a little sister. And I don't know, they just taught me a lot about life and love and protected me, which was nice. They didn't have to do that. And yeah, then I left that place when I found out the owner was just, I mean, he was such a racist on top of it. He would never, like when he wasn't in town, the servers would let me serve other tables because they were like, this doesn't make sense. You've been here over a year. You should be able to get more tips. Like I was probably one of, I mean, I know this. I was one of the only hostesses that the servers would give me a bunch of their tips because they knew I wasn't getting what I deserved. And he specifically said, no, you need to stay in your place. But I did get you a present. And what he got me was a vacuum cleaner that went on my back so that I can continue cleaning the place. Like he very much was like, you're Asian, you clean and you serve and you do whatever I want.
Wow, that's wild.
And yeah, it was so messed up. It was so messed up. It was so hurtful. And I mean, obviously, and so many people were very kind about it. And finally, a bunch of the guys I was working with were like, you need to get out. Like, as much as we want you to stay here and as much as we want to support you, like, summer's almost over. We're all going back to school and you're going to be stuck with him. And he's just going to keep abusing you this way. So then I ended up going to Janine's Bakery in Montecito and ended up managing the whole place, which was really cool and fun. And I learned a lot about baked goods and like,
Well,
um,
I hope you you threw that vacuum cleaner in the dude's face and said peace. But
but he walked out.
when did LA become a part of the equation? Because Santa Barbara is like not too far away, but
Yeah,
I know that like Hotel Cafe plays like a big role in just your life in general. So, and we'll talk about that in a second, but can you talk about when LA sort of became a thing on your radar of like, oh, I should go start going there, or like
for sure.
how was that frequent? Did you move there? Like, how did that go?
So I was born in Santa Monica and my grandparents live in Santa Monica. So even when I was younger and my parents were still working in Santa Barbara, I was still going back and forth to LA. So LA for me was still home. Like, and I really loved acting. So I didn't ever really want to leave to go to Santa Barbara because I just loved the entertainment business. Like, my mom and my dad didn't force me into it. It was just like, when's the next audition? I want to go get rejected again. Like it was this horrible high that I had. I just always wanted to do better. And then when we moved,
Auditioning for singing shows or for
not just
what?
that, just for like musicals, commercials. Um, my cousin is a is a high end extra, so he's a really tall Asian guy. So he's used in a lot of scenes
A
where
high end extra?
high end, yeah. So like he gets asked to do a lot of like the Asian businessmen scenes because I mean, truth be told, a lot of typical Asian men are about the same height, and they needed kind of different heights for television. And he's really tall, so he kind of got to help make it look like a group. So he was like in Terminator. He was in a bunch of the Arrested Development stuff. Like it was pretty cool. So he ended up um, teaching or kind of showing me like, hey, there's these places you can be an extra for, and I liked doing that. Or I mean, there was like cookies commercials and stuff. I don't know what it was. It wasn't so much I liking the attention. I think it was more just liking being goofy and like being like, hey, we have a character for you, can you do that? And I was like, okay. Like that's what I got excited about. I could care less about anybody out there. Like if anything, even being on stage, like I don't actually look at the audience. I always look at the back of the room and above everyone's heads because I don't want to know they're there. Like, I just don't. Um,
Just makes you nervous or
yeah, I think because I really enjoy connecting with people, if I have eye contact with any of them, there's all my focus. So if that makes sense. So it's like if I'm performing, I just want to be in my zone.
you're
Just want
scared you're gonna be like stuck on like one person and they're gonna get really creeped out.
to, yeah. And then I'm going to be like, doing a thing and then be like, all right, let's talk about your life. Tell me everything. Like, that's just how I am.
Well, and Hotel
So,
Cafe is a place where people can say those kinds of things, right? Like
mhm.
being it's like the most stripped back, like vulnerable, like one of the most vulnerable stages in a city that's not really known for its like vulnerability necessarily. It's all about the facade. But Hotel Cafe, it's like you go like inside, right? So I just want to hear about like what it was like first going there for you and why it made such an
Yeah.
impact on you.
So originally, when I was in Santa Barbara, I was still playing, like, I was still working all those crazy, weird, random jobs. And I was going to school. And so I was getting up at like, and I know what the question is, but it'll make sense when I give the pre story. But I was waking up at 3 in the morning, going to work at Starbucks from 4 to 9, going to class at 9:45, taking a nap in my truck, then going to another class, babysitting or nanning someone, like someone's kids, and then after that trying to finish my homework so that I could go play a show at this place called Rocks or at Soho. I mean, that was like, I still have a lot of energy, but I had so much energy. Like, I was probably running on 4 hours of sleep every night, maybe less. And I would play these shows, and I did it for myself, again, like not knowing that songwriting was a career, because I wasn't taught that that was. It was just kind of my stress relief. It was like, I have these songs and these stories, and I don't really care what anyone thinks about them. I'm gonna do it. And growing up with Katy Hudson, now Perry, she actually gave me my first guitar and told me that I was a songwriter, and was the one who exposed me to songwriter rounds. Like, she lived in Nashville for a while, and open mics. And so when she left to LA, and I actually moved to Chicago for a bit and then came back to Santa Barbara.
For school, right?
I went to Wheaton College. It's the evangelical Harvard, apparently. I didn't know that. But it was a really good school. I really liked it. But I came back and just was going through a lot, and was like, oh, well, I'll just play out. And I played at this bar called Soho in Santa Barbara, and they asked if I could play as the local act for this guy, Tyrone Wells and Ernie Halter. And Tyrone was doing pretty well in the college scene at the time. I think he was like a NACA. If anyone doesn't know what NACA is, what does it stand for? Like National. I can't.
I can actually, unlike in the past, there is Google. I know it's related to college, but it's not Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. It's something else. I know, and actually, does isn't there two C's in it?
I think so, yeah. But for anyone who is a musician, I mean, I forgot we're in a pandemic,
It's
y'all.
National Association for Campus Activities.
Yes, they
NACA.
pay very well, and if you get in them, they could basically put you on a tour with all the colleges, which was really nice. I honestly wonder if they're still doing something like that.
I'm sure it's like a lot more like virtual now.
Yeah, but I'll do a virtual show from my home with their money set aside for entertainment. Just saying. Anyhow, there's some free knowledge for anyone maybe wants to look into it. So it was him, and then I played, and then this guy Ernie Halter, and Ernie, who we'll reveal later, is one of my best friends. Great singer songwriter, and he was the one who was like, you are a big fish in a small pond now. You need to come to LA. And I was like, to do what? He's like, you're an artist. And I was like, what? I'm not an artist. He was like, no. So he
Were
brought
you
me in.
writing songs by this point?
Yeah, so I was writing songs and like making really horrible CDs. I actually went to City College, or I took a class at City College for songwriting, which was a great class. Oh my gosh, my teacher, I always forget his name, and it's horrible because he was amazing. John David Freak. Um, but I, like, Katy and I took the class with this other band called Sugar Cult. I don't know if anyone remembers Sugar Cult, but
Yes.
yeah, they were in there. And then Tim Lopez, who is one of my friends from growing up, who's now in the Plain White Tees. So this class was incredible, and this teacher was amazing. And he was kind of the first one to show me like songwriting could kind of be a career. And yeah, so then when Ernie and Tyrone were like, you need to come to LA and come to this thing called Hotel Cafe. Like, you just need to move to LA. I was like, I guess I can go visit. So I was like, I didn't want to just put all of my eggs in that basket because it's like I just met these people and I've been screwed over so many times before, just love life and what have you, that like I don't know what to trust. So I went and it was the most crazy experience. So I walk in. This is the old school hotel cafe. It's definitely changed. It still has the vibe, but this is old school hotel cafe. You go down this alleyway and you walk in, and it's a door. It's very much like a speakeasy. And you used to walk in, and there's like, it's really dark. And there was this door that, and then there was like another room to which was the green room. And I would see people go from the green room into this other door. And I thought, huh, wonder what that, it looked like a janitor's closet. I had no idea what it was. And then you walk in through the bar and it's very vibey and like dark colors. And you just already feel like you're in a jazz club or you're at home and you should be smoking a cigar with some whiskey. And it's just like, oh, I love this. And then someone is singing on stage that you've never heard of before. And in that moment, they are the world. They're incredible. And then you look up and you're like, wait, is that John Mayer? Like just weird shit like that, like all the time. And Sissy Spacek's daughter, Skylar Fisk, is incredible. I didn't know it was Sissy Spacek's daughter at the time. However, I was working at the J. Crew in LA because at this point I'd moved to LA to start being part of the Hotel Cafe family. And Sissy Spacek ended up being one of my main clients at J. Crew. And she was like, you need to come to Hotel Cafe and see my daughter. Now, I'd already seen Skylar, but I didn't know it was her daughter. So I came and I sat front row with Sissy Spacek looking at Skylar being like, I met your mom. I know this is weird. I had no idea. Like, and she just killed it. It was just so beautiful. And like the Carey brothers and Jason Reeves and Kobe Calais and like Tony Luca and like those people ended up just becoming my family and like taking me in. And I was talking about that room where you go from the green room to the other one, and it was a piano room. And so all the artists after the show, we'd hang out in the green room till everyone had left, and then we would go into this other room with a piano room and we would just sing songs and like kind of jam, but not in like a hokey way, not in a like, oh, look what I can do way, which I hate to say it, but I know people out there, if you live in Nashville, you know what I mean. They're like, all right, here's my guitar, let's play it, let me show off. And I'm like, like I cannot, I just but it wasn't like that. It was just like this very comfortable, very cool, genuine time of hanging out and ripping cigars and
Yeah,
talking
there's
about
clearly a
stuff.
lot of cigars going on in
Lots of
the room.
cigars. Just,
No, but so I mean, did it bring you more clarity, or did it sort of confuse you more, like going there because you're like, I'm writing songs, but now I'm also, considering performing them and everything. Like, I
it
guess like
intimidated me.
it
It
intimidated you.
humbled me. It was like, there's no way I can be up to those standards. Like I just was so in awe of these people and like what they were creating and how they were creating it. And they were also supportive and wanted to write with me. And I'd never done a co-write before. I didn't know what that was like. So um I actually was about to possibly go on a small hotel cafe tour, and my friend,
We
the
switched
spirit,
places.
the
That
spirits. Wait, so what do
that
I need
that
to
that
do?
was, that was like Freaky Friday. No, you're good. You just have to refresh.
The page?
Just refresh. I think Twitch, something happened with Twitch because it
Okay,
kind of
so
threw
refresh
everything
the
for a loop.
I'm gonna refresh the Twitch page.
Yep, and then just link. Uh, all right, I think we're back in business. It was just a fun little Twitch has been having some issues lately. you know,
Oh,
bless them for the platform. But man, everybody, we're all working through our issues. So, okay, if anybody missed it again, I think that my friends are pretty cool, but we were just talking about um, Lisa's friend Katy Perry, who she ended up going on Warp Tour. Like she called you because she wanted you to like come, like not necessarily like come right on the tour or perform. It was like to come like essentially like work on the tour, right? Like what did she ask you to
mhm.
come do specifically?
So at first she was like, "Hey, so could you help me with doing like some guitar stuff, like guitar tech stuff?" She was like, "We probably won't really need you, but you could do that. But I really need you for merch." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been slinging clothes at J. Crew forever, and I was thinking
Yeah,
about
you're
working
like you
with you."
see how many eggs I sold? Like
Yeah.
I could
I
if I
slung
could
some
sell
hardcore
eggs,
back in the day.
if I could sell these eggs, I could sell some Katy Perry merch on Warped
Yeah.
Tour. I got you.
Oh, and I sold some material. So yeah, so she asked me to do that, but we didn't necessarily like know what we were doing. So we got all the kinks worked out. Like I had no idea. Like all I knew was like how to take inventory and how to sell. So the first day though was so warm and our merch didn't come in till really late, and I ended up dry heaving, and we ended up bringing on this girl that, bless her heart, just was kind of a, what do you call those, a snake dweller, what do you call them, a lot lizard, there you go. Really sweet, but she definitely was trying to get ahead by, you know, doing
Meeting some of the band members or something
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Um,
We just somebody redeemed stretch. We have to have a nice stretch.
oh, okay. This is actually good. Thank you. I needed a stretch.
There you go. Yeah, and you get to
Oh,
show off your awesome sweater.
my my emojis. I like to wear my emojis on my sleeve.
And
Yes.
I dig it.
When I bought this sweater, I did think of that joke. So.
So thank you, so thank you, Darius. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, but Nori Coco had said hi, Lisa,
Oh, Noriko is an old
or
friend from Santa
Noriko.
Barbara.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Nori. Nori means seaweed, but we always called her Nori, even though her name is Noriko, and her name does not mean seaweed. Noriko
Oh,
means.
and then there's a CO at the end of it, so
Uh-huh.
adding it
I
in
have
there.
a Noriko company or something. I don't know.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
hi.
So you were doing your thing, slinging merch and everything like that,
Bringing
and
merch.
then if I remember the story correctly, like Nashville was sort of just like random because that just happened to be like the like city that you guys were like stopped in or something, or am I misremembering? Like how did Nash like when did, because I know that Warp Tour and then your path to Nashville tie, but how do they like go together?
How did they come? So yeah, so we were on Warp Tour. I met a lot of people who were based out of Nashville, and after the tour at Warp Tour, I had some time off, and when I got back to LA, I just, I don't know, I lost my sense of that sense of excitement that like Hotel Cafe had. You know, a lot of my friends were getting into relationships and they weren't as available, which happens. And um, I just started losing my sense of self. I think Katie was one of my best friends growing up, but when you have that wild amount of stardom, you have other things that kind of come into play. And I mean, I was getting
And Warp
offered.
Tour was like right before that happened, really,
I
right?
mean, it was like right on the money. So like beginning of tour, we started getting some popularity, but then by the end of tour, like she was trying to do a signing at her tent and it was pure hysteria. Like I had bottled beer or canned beer thrown at me. I had to have a security guard. Like it was insane. Like it was just wild, and to see kind of like how someone can go from playing a guitar, singing Thinking of You in a small room of 20 to people just being so obsessed they would hurt other people just to touch her is a crazy sight to experience. And it was really rough, and it definitely distanced our friendship a little bit, because when you're working for your friend, it's not the same, you know. Like, I was working more on the merch side of things and seeing the things that she didn't have to see. And she, you know, we protected her as much as we could. But I think going back to LA for me, it was like reality TV kind of started becoming a thing, and MySpace was starting to fold, and Instagram was barely coming to its peak. And so everything that was private in my life wasn't private anymore. And I don't mind that. Like, if anyone follows me on my Instagram, like, I will share certain things in my life. Like, I still keep some things private, but um it was just becoming like I was a piece of her entourage, and I was getting offers to be places so that other people would think she was coming when she wasn't. And it just felt like dirty money to me. It didn't feel genuine, and it just kind of, it just hurt. It hurt a lot. It's like I don't become friends with people because of what they do. I become friends with people with who they are and their hearts. And um, that kind of started to lose its flavor. I didn't know who my friends were when I got back to LA. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really talk to any of those people anymore. And the ones that I do, I mean, they're like the truest of the true, and they were feeling the same, but like stayed in LA. So I moved to Nashville to get away from that. But crazy enough, on top of that, my grandmother got run over by a semi truck.
What?
That coming. So my grandmother was living in Chattanooga with my uncle, and she was driving up to Peoria, Illinois, where she was going to have her high school reunion to go see her boyfriend Clifford. And she fell asleep at the wheel,
Oh man.
and she would never admit that she fell asleep at the wheel, but that's what we think happened, because then she ended up getting crammed underneath a semi truck. And it's a miracle, because how she was crammed and why we think that she was sleeping is because her body was really relaxed. They did put her in a body bag because she was so just unconscious and not there, and she was like cursing in Italian, like, "What are you doing? I'm alive!" And so they ended up taking her, and she did end up having both of her legs amputated because she was diabetic. But it was like, okay, I don't really want to
Wait,
be in.
that so the amputation happened after the accident, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I didn't
dang.
want to be in LA really much. And I was like, well, I've heard Tennessee's cool. And I had a couple of friends from tour that were living in Nashville. And I was like, well, then I could be really close to Chattanooga, because I did not want to move to Chattanooga. And I'd already been thinking of moving between Nashville and Austin. And yeah, I came out to Nashville, and I thought I was only coming for a couple months because I thought I was going back on the road with Katy. And then I was concerned because I was like, where's my credentials? Like, we have a Magic Mountain tour we're going to do. Like, is that canceled? And then finally she hit me up and she was like, I don't want you to be my bitch anymore. Her words exactly. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I want to be your bitch. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And she was like, no, I think if we continue doing this, you would always wonder what it was like to do your own stuff. And I know that you're in Nashville, and I have one person I can get you in contact with, but I think that you should try. And I was really butthurt. I was so hurt. I was like, maybe my whole life is just to support you. Like, I love supporting people. So I stayed in Nashville and gave it a good year go. I talked to a couple friends in LA who were like, if you don't like it after a year, we have a job for you. So like, they were working in a couple publishing houses and stuff like that. So they were like, we can get you like a mail-in job or something like that. And I stuck it out. I was like, I need to find myself at this point. So I took a job at J. Crew again, and was a personal stylist. And funny enough, I ended up meeting Taylor Swift that way. And
Not at Starbucks this time though.
Taylor and I became pretty cordial because I was always at J. Crew, and I never told her I did music. I just didn't think that was appropriate. Um, she's coming in with her mom to buy clothes. I'm not gonna be like, hey, I write music. I want to write sometime. I don't know. I just think it's a jerk move. But
But it's a Nashville thing.
I know. So I ended up, yeah, I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, but when I first came
And
here,
before we go on any further,
yeah.
we need to know if Grandma's okay because
Oh
we
yeah.
ended with
Oh
the fact that her
yeah.
legs were amputated, but we don't know if she's okay at this point. Like,
Yeah, no.
what happened to Grandma?
So she ended up, we got her back to Chattanooga in a facility. And she survived another 8 years. We thought she was only going to live for another 6 months, but she ended up living like another 8 years. And I got to visit her a lot. Our birthdays are basically the same day. Hers is right before mine. She recently passed away like 2 years ago now. I know she's watching over me. But yeah, she stuck it out. I mean, like I would go visit her in Chattanooga sometimes, and she'd be like, "Oh, this is a really bad time. I've got bingo," and I'm like, "I just drove 2.5 hours to see you. Can I not come play bingo? Like, I don't understand."
Yeah, like I was
But
like, bingo sounds awesome, but it
yeah,
also is like pretty exclusive, I hear.
yeah.
But
Apparently, I mean, thankfully, one of my best friends from childhood lived there, so I'd be like, "Hey, my grandma doesn't want to hang out with me. Can we hang out?"
that's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
She's got other
she's so
stuff to
cool.
do, man. But and by the
She
way,
did.
before we keep going, Tenlo, thanks for resubbing. That's really kind of you. I promise we're getting into the topic of writing in a little bit here as we just introduced
Sorry,
Nashville.
I can
And
talk for
we can't
hours. I'm
no,
sorry.
but we can't talk about Nashville without talking about songwriting at some point, right? So what I wanted to ask
Mhm.
though is like obviously you were sort of like deciding between Austin and Nashville. What made you pick like what made you pick I guess Nashville in particular and like what did you think of the town? Like what were your like first impressions of the city in general? Because a lot of people when you ask them they're like, "Oh, country music." And so you all the people you knew and all the people you were running into like what made you pick Nashville?
Valid question. So I had to be honest with myself. The only reason why I was picking Austin is because one of my childhood crushes that I'd had a crush on for 17 years, he and a bunch of my guy friends moved to Austin. And I was like, as much as I could have done it, because we are all still really great friends. I was like,
That's
I'll
where
just
Nick Carter moved.
no, that's not my best friend growing up. But Nick Carter, actually, I know too much information, but I guess he moved to Nashville for a little bit. He was like a neighbor of
Oh.
my friend's. I
So
know.
that's why
He's
you
married
picked
now.
Nashville.
He's married. Nick's married now, so I can't climb on that tree. But no, the Nashville thing, it was like, okay, my grandmother now is not doing well. It's a lot closer. If I'm being honest with myself, I would probably be moving to Austin for the wrong reasons, even though it's an incredible city with lots of music. And then on top of it, Nashville is just so cheap. Not that again, Austin wasn't. It was just like it really felt like I could start over. And funny enough, I knew it was called Music City. I didn't really consider it a country town. And I think that a lot of from now living in Nashville, so many people I would get annoyed, like, oh, did you move to Nashville to do country music? And I was like, why do people say that? Like, I
Did they
didn't,
use the accent too?
oh yeah. And they're like, do you wear shoes? I didn't get that. Like, I don't
You mean boots?
know. People would ask if I wore shoes. This was
Do
like
you wear
12 years
shoes
ago.
like were all your friends just like anti shoes or
No, like
why they ask
that
if you were
people
wearing
in Tennessee don't wear shoes. Also, when I had friends visit, they'd be like, "It's so green," and I was like, "Yeah, it's not Arizona." Like, it was really odd. I don't know,
well, I'm not
but
wearing shoes right now, so I'm not really doing much for
I'm not
the
either.
whole thing. Yeah, but yeah. So
Not some.
Whether you're in Santa Monica or you're in Nashville, you're not wearing shoes. See, I like
No, yeah, kick it up.
I'm on a standing desk right now, so Yeah.
Also, I live in a Japanese household, so we don't wear shoes in the house. It's a
Well,
no-no.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So Nashville also because I had like one friend that lived here, and also because like Katie definitely always spoke highly of it when she would visit here. Like when I was in college, Katie helped me get into Wheaton College because she used to sing there with this Christian artist named Bebo Norman, and she just like
She started in
really,
Christian music, right?
yeah. And she, when she got to Wheaton, she called me immediately. And she goes, "I don't know what it is about this place, but you need to go to school here." And I was like, "I don't have the money to go to school there." Funny enough, random, my dad's dad went there, so I was able to get like a small scholarship because of family. But my dad's dad only was there for like a month and then dropped out. Still got the scholarship. I don't know. Or I got some grant or something. I don't know. I worked my butt off to go there.
So
But it was great.
that's like the literal version of getting grandfathered in, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But then like her letter definitely helped. And like I ended up starting the first dance at Wheaton because I was like, the Bible says that we should dance and you're not allowing dances here and I don't like it.
So like it was like you got grandfathered in and then suddenly you were in Footloose. Like
Yes, yes. And there were articles that compared our
I
first
just want
dance
to
to
dance.
Footloose. And the first dance was a swing dance. It was so fun. It was so great. I've always been
I don't know
Footloose.
why I'm like dancing like this. Like
Because you're
it's the wine. I think that's what it is. We're just like doing jazz dancing right now. Is that jazz? We're tap dancing. That's what it is.
Sorry, I'm gonna get on tangent, so I better not. But I will say I'm trying to get into tap that my 2021 I want to tap dance. So I'm buying shoes and I've already found an online class I really like and I'm really excited.
Oh my god. That should be one of your streams when you start streaming is tap
Yeah,
dancing.
because I want to make beats with my feet. I'm gonna be dope.
I love it.
Anyways,
Pio says that he also lives in a Japanese house in Nashville. He's not allowed to wear shoes inside either.
no,
So
no, no.
well, so okay, I know that that's like I know that that's a tradition, but I don't know why it is. Could you explain it, or like do you
I
know a lot
can
about it,
too.
or
I know. Well, it's a dirt thing. It's more clean if you don't want to bring dirt into
you
your
go into
home. You don't want to
slippers,
bring
right? There's usually like slippers that you transfer
yeah
into.
yeah. So yeah, so that's what I understood. It's like it's a better way to keeping outside what's outside. It's also like referred to as an energy thing. So like you keep what's outside and then you can come into your home. I mean, you have to clean your house, but it also keeps things cleaner and so then you have a more clear mind.
So
I think my parents are just really
do you have to like rip your skin off because that was outside, and then
yes.
just your insides can be inside, and then you're just like these weird, creepy,
It's like
skinless things. You're just like
yes,
just like walking
exactly.
around. It's like calming and fucking terrifying all at the same time. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely.
My wife
Slash
says, Chris, that's why I don't wear my slippers outside. Because I just got her new slippers, and I specifically got them so that if she wanted to wear them outside, she could, but she refuses to bring them outside. So
they're inside. Yes, she must keep her good energy on the inside of the home.
there you go, perfect. I love it. All right, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean the town isn't necessarily known for like pop music in the way it's known for country and even Christian music, but
Okay.
the town is known for songwriting just across the
Yes.
board. Like everybody agrees on that, and even people who think of it as a country place understand that. But I
Totally.
guess I want to talk about your process as a writer, and we'll talk about your artist thing in a little bit. But could you sort of from your time working at Hallmark, helping the Backstreet Boys pick out a card,
Mhm.
to go ahead, sip your wine after that. To then like writing songs, like how did your process start? Like, did you like? Does it start with melody? Does it start with a phrase? Does it start with like? Just tell us everything about like how you go through writing a song.
So for me, I really, and I do think it's because growing up with my dad playing drums and listening to things and being so obsessed with words, and something I didn't mention earlier is like part of my anxiety escapes were climbing on the top of trees and writing whatever was in my head. So a stream of conscious.
That's funny because
Um,
I have a fear of heights, and if I was in a tree, I don't know if I could even hold on to a piece of paper.
you're not afraid of heights, you're afraid of falling. So
Fair.
it just depends on how high you go. Um, yeah, my dad built a bird aviary, and he always made sure it was under a tree I could climb, so I could climb the tree and then sit on the aviary. It made him feel like safer. So I had a place that I would not fall too far from. But um, for me with writing, I sometimes will maybe be in the sauce and have what I think is a great idea. And then I'll read it later and go, I see where I was going with that. Let me edit that. And then I will go to, a producer or even myself and my guitar and try to come up with something from that. Other times I will, so I know we're going to talk about this, but I am currently working on a project called JNSQ, which stands for Je ne sais quoi, which is I don't know what, because it's like the sound of it is really like I don't know what. But me and my counterpart Greg, he's also extremely goofy, like myself, and
He's in the chat, isn't he?
is he? I don't
I
know. I
think
could
is
like
it. I think I
he
think
has
I
to.
think GC 12310
Yeah.
is Greg.
Gregory. Yeah, yeah. We are brothers from other mothers, sisters from other fathers, whatever. We're family, and we've known each other for 10 years now. And he was actually is working with Brett Eldridge. So he's been in country forever, but he has such like a pop cool sensibility. And we both grew up in the 80s, so we love different synth sounds and really love disco and all this stuff. And so what's been really enjoyable about working together is for years I've been looking for a producer who'll get weird with me, who won't get so like in a box that's like, well, that's not the right way to write a song and stuff like that. And I'm like, I really look up to Imogen Heap and Gautier and Portishead and Incubus and like just these like very bizarre bands and sounds. And like once I got into Sublime, I really appreciated how they panned things differently and like how it makes you feel like you're in a whole different world. And I know drugs kind of probably had something to do with that, but hey, it still felt really good and amazing. And so
Psychedelics tend to have a big effect on big records.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're so in tune to things, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, but even me, like I smoke pot. Now I smoke the marijuana now, kids. Okay, get over it. But before I did that, like I still was like really like, ooh, like what's that little nugget? What's that little nugget? Like still very much. People thought I was a stoner before I was smoking weed, and now it's just enhanced. But like whatever. So now that like I get to work with someone who's willing to say, hey, this is a really weird pipe sound, and I'm like, yeah, let's add distortion on it. He's like, yeah, and we're just like, yeah, and then
Metal pipe.
yeah, yeah, like, I mean, one of our songs is called sapiosexual because Greg, if you're in here and you remember how sapiosexual happened, we were taught what sapiosexual are people who like to have sex with trees. Is that right? Or no, intellect. Like, I think I was saying, like, some guy, I was like, oh, I'm just so attracted to his brain or something. And he was like, oh, that's like a sapiosexual thing. We have a song called that. So that kind of started the idea of where we were going. And then the track actually started. Greg does a lot of great accents, as do I. Just talked how cool I am in my accents,
Like
but
let's all pat each other ourselves on the back. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I'm so good at accents. But anyhow, he does do these accents, and he was doing one, and I really wanted to start the track out with it because he talks about how him and his boyfriend had just broken up, and it was like this tragic thing. And I had this idea. I was like, what if the boyfriend went out and he's bisexual and he meets me, but I'm not willing to commit, and I end up breaking his heart, and then he gets to go back with his boyfriend. And so it's like this whole, it's this whole,
Do you have the song?
yeah.
You should play it. You should play it.
Okay. Wait, Greg, can you somehow send us something to Chris to tell
No,
yes, please?
you can play it on your if you're on your are you on your computer?
Yeah, but oh, let's see. I'll have to find Greg,
No.
send me an MP3 on the iMessage and then I can play it on the iMessages.
So
Do me the thing with the iMessages. I need to talk like this. Hey, Gregory, can you do the things with the
can all you'll have to do is click that green button at the bottom that says share screen. Click that, and then
okay.
There's going to be at the very top, it'll say basic advanced files. Click advanced. And then click.
He's sending it right now.
Okay, perfect. But for you to share.
But do you guys want to hear? Do you guys want to hear the one with his voice? Because
I want to hear the one with his voice.
Yes, Greg, you have to send the one with your voice. He's gonna send it.
Click share screen, advanced, and then do music, computer sound only, and then click share.
Okay, I'll do it when he sends it to me. But Greg, you have to send the one.
Tenlo wants to hear your best Canadian accent.
Okay, I don't know about that, but I can try. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about it, but
oh man.
Canadian is like kind of difficult because it is like
it depends on where in Canada.
Then you say sorry. Yeah. It's like, can we hear your best Canadian?
But Montreal is different from Toronto and everything.
Yes. Okay, wait, Greg just messaged me. I'm just gonna see. I need to make sure this is the one. Yeah, no, Greg, you need to send me. You have to. This is. People are hyped. People are hyped right now.
Oh, 100%. But no, so yeah, I mean, just real quick, so we can make sure it actually works. If you could do the share screen thing.
Oh no! Oh no! What's happening?
What happened?
Okay, cool. Yes, hold on.
He says just play the real one.
No.
Well, there you have it, Greg. She's not going to play it.
Sapiosexual. Okay, hold on.
She's gonna go find the OG one.
Yeah, because we have it, and oh, do I have it? Do I have it? Let me tell you. Okay, so let me send this to my.
Hey guys, it's me.
Oh wait, guys, this is so good. This is so good. Hold on.
The Cyclone's asking if it's unreleased. It's unreleased, right? You're frozen. No. You were frozen for a second.
It is absolutely unreleased. This will not be released, I am sorry to say, with the voice because Greg really doesn't want it. So this is exclusive listening, but it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Okay.
So,
while that's loading though, I'll finish talking about like how
click share screen though, because I'm nervous that it's not going to work and I haven't done this yet, so okay. I'm excited to see.
Share screen. Okay, so after I click share screen, then what do I do?
At the very top it'll say like basic advanced files. Click on advanced and then click music or computer sound only and then click share.
Got it. Okay, bitchin'.
See if that works.
Okay, then I have to put my password.
To put your password.
Okay. Are you guys? Your default microphone has changed to.
Oh yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now it's giving me the wheel of death, but.
Oh no.
Oh, okay, we're good now. Okay. All right.
Hell yes, exclusive. That's right, nickname Bryce.
Okay, guys.
Greg, I'm sorry, but we have to play.
Hey guys, it's me.
Hear it?
I don't have much to say right now other than that Gerald left me. And I can't
type, basic, adoring. Says everything I kinda like, I kinda like. I kinda like, I kinda like, I kinda like. He's got a thick accent somewhere that you can't find. Guess he's been on the mend. We met black out with neon signs. I kinda like, I kinda like, I kinda like, I kinda like. I'm on a fence playing with black and white. You think I'm your answer, but I'm not that guy. I'll tell you a secret, it's all just a lie. I'm in for the story of one time midnight. Well, you and I met, and we made a bet. Said you wouldn't invest, but you did. Daydream of flowers. You think of altar, I think grave. We talk for hours. You listen while I misbehave. I kinda like, I kinda like, I kinda like, I kinda like. You've been a nice guy. Thanks for staying for a while. I got another flight. I gotta go, give me a smile. Please dry your eyes. Told you I tried. I kinda liked, but I kinda like somebody else. I'm on a fence playing with black and white. You think I'm your answer, but I'm not that guy. I'll tell you a secret, it's all just a lie. I'm in for the story of one time midnight.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that Greg is like, whoa, this is the 50% done version. I don't know. That
It's
felt like
like,
that felt like 100% done, and then whatever you guys maybe did after that might have been taking away from it.
no, dude. So like, it's gotten so much more like, like I can't even. We basically just it's definitely not too much and it's not too little. It's been so fun. Like this project has
It's
been
just
so
right.
fun. It's like just right. But like,
So
yeah,
is that
I
is
mean,
that
we
a is that a
started.
je ne sais quoi song?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I dig it. It looks like people were. Wes was saying, who's Flashdance was saying, the new order go off.
Yes.
That's awesome. It looks like
We're really
you guys got a good amount of fans already in the chat. That's awesome.
I'm excited. We do have an Instagram. It's JNSQ Music, and we do have a website up. Literally, I would just expect it. This whole
Are you
project
guys
is
wearing
basically.
robot outfits? What is?
Oh yeah.
I want to see this.
I mean, we not yet, but we will. I mean,
JNSQ Music, right?
jnsqmusic.com. Right now it's pretty like bland. I think I have something that says just touch it or something like caress me. I don't know. We're goofy. It's like one of those things where I think we've both kind of been screwed over with the industry and have realized like the best thing to do for us is just be authentic. And I'm going to be honest, we're not in our 20s and we are soon to not be in our 30s. And we both have the spirits of young 25-year-olds. And so we are really excited to finally just do what we want rather than what we thought we were supposed to be doing, in a sense.
I love that. Is fan of Greg Carrillo? Is that Greg's actual account, or is that somebody? Is that his like one of his?
I think that's
parents?
someone else. I think Yeah,
I love
a fan
I
of
love
Greg.
I love
Yeah.
that. I don't know. I just showed it on the screen for a little bit just to show what the logo idea looks like. Um,
Oh, thanks.
no, that's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's cool because like you talking about your process and being able to hear something. I'm glad that technology didn't betray us in that moment, but like do you when you're writing, do you and because we'll talk more about like your stuff, but I also want to talk about like just your process when you're including other people like Greg. Do you enjoy writing with other people? Because some people that are in the chat or that might watch this after the fact might um sometimes people like have this like thing again, like they're like, oh, like you have to write your songs alone or it's not or it's not real or something, and a lot of people don't
Right.
realize like how many people can be involved in writing a song, and like sometimes it's not as like involved as like 15 people like you see on some pop songs, but like it's not uncommon that there's a relationship like yours and Greg's. Could you talk a bit about the collaborative process and what it means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my first times co-writing was with my friend Brendan McCarthy, who's now married to Rachel Lampa, if anyone's in the Christian world. And I remember it because it was such a struggle because I had to completely be vulnerable. I mean, it's literally like it is therapy because you have to trust the other person that you're writing with, and you have to trust them with information that some people might use against you. On a real level, I was in a relationship with a producer who was an intern at the time, and this was like 6 years ago now, but still, it's like still kind of a fresh wound. And I introduced him to a lot of people, and after we broke up and he ended up leaving me for another songwriter, I had a really hard time with other co-writers because they knew too much about my personal life and they would use that against me. I had people who were friends with the girl that he left me for that would use that against me, and it sucked. It sucked a lot. And so I think when it comes to co-writing, I do think you need to be careful who you're writing with and who you trust and what information that you're sharing. And all writers, the reason why people listen to us is because we're being vulnerable. And I am more than happy to share my story with anyone, even the people that I did who used that information to try and hurt me. I mean, it didn't end up hurting me because it was like, why drama? Like, stop it. But I,
Have to write another
I
song.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I do think for me personally, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but if if I get into a co-write, and been in co-writes with people who like have written big songs, but if they're not willing to bend a little bit, we can't write a song. And some people just aren't meant to write songs together. I mean, that's just how it is. But I'm more on the side of what's the best thing for this song to go forward. Like if you get so stuck on a lyric and you're so married to it, I think that's something in like a co-writing room where people are like, "Oh, I'm married to this," or I generally say like, "Hey, I wrote this thing, but I'm not married to it." Um, I think that it's necessary because every time after I wrote with Brendan for the first time, which again, that was the longest write I think I ever had. It was like 6 hours. Now it's like, I feel like I crack out a song in like 2 to 4 hours and then we come back to it another time. But I tend to, I don't know, like I struggle still with writing with people who it's their way or the highway, I guess. And um, when I've written with people who've given suggestions openly and said, well, what about this? Like who have offered solutions and it's a better idea. Oh my gosh, the song just takes a whole new turn. And it's like, wow, like this is why we're doing it, like perfect example. So I wrote a song with Ernie Halter, who I met at a hotel cafe. He came to Nashville. He was disappointed that I wasn't writing more. I was honestly just butthurt because I wasn't on the road anymore and didn't know what I was doing with my life other than putting on shows for other people. And we wrote a song in 20 minutes because we were really good friends. And he ended up putting that on his album. And that song is called Come Home to Me, that Justin Bieber ended up finding and making his love song to him and Selena Gomez. That song was such a great co-writing experience, not because it only took us 20 minutes, but it's because we had that friendship for so long and we had that honest conversation. And when the song was complete, we were like, this song is complete. Like, let's go get fried chicken. That's literally what we did. It was like, wow, like this song is something. And we had no idea the impact that it would do. We didn't even know that Justin would ever hear it. You know, we are not getting paid for it, to be honest. But still, it's like, because there was a vulnerability there, and because it was okay for me to say, well, what if we say this? And he goes, I like that, but what if we do this instead? And it was such a cool way to create something so beautiful. And then on the other hand, because I love writing and because of Hallmark and all these things, I've been kind of penned as a pistol writer. I love words so much, and I love observing people so much, and I write notes in my phone all day of ideas that I can get in with a producer and write a full song and love it. But on the same regard, if someone was like, hey, I heard this song, I really want it for my own, can we get together and rewrite some of this stuff? I'll sit there with them and either argue like that's a better lyric or that's not a better lyric. I can't lie, I have a song coming out with Jordin Sparks in the next year, and she literally a miracle how she even got it. I'm still independent, by the way, for anyone who's like, I don't know, sad or thinking that you need a publishing deal. Like, I've been working on trying to get a publishing deal for my whole life. It hasn't happened yet, which is fine. But I had a friend who I just sent the song to for Zendaya. He's an engineer that was working for Zendaya. And Zendaya was trying to put out a album before she got on that new show that she's on now. So I was constantly pitching him songs. Yeah. So I was constantly pitching him songs and didn't know that he and Jordin were also working together. And he happened to be playing it when she walked in the room and said, what is this song? I need to have it. Now, my lyrics were, I still think of you, but she did a beautiful thing, whether or not it actually comes out, because the song was supposed to come out like 3 years ago. It's supposed to come out this next year, but she twisted the words and said, you still think of me. And that song that I wrote was my kind of like heartache with my ex that I had been still thinking of, and how I was still, you know, and it was so cool for her to flip it around and say, no, you still think of me, and recognize for my own personal self, whether it gets out or not, damn, Jordin Sparks just rewrote a song for me in a sense. She didn't even know it.
Was the original lyric, I still think of you?
And then she switched it to you still think of me. I cannot
it's
lie.
It's funny how simple of a change that is, but how profound of an effect it can have.
Yeah, I mean, she flipped so many of the lyrics to where like I was saying like, oh, you know, I'm the one going out trying to replace you, and she was like, you're the one who's going out trying to replace me, and I was like, oh, okay, like let's flip this whole scenario around, like let's do it. And then she definitely put some personal things in there that I really wanted to change, but then and I was talking to the engineer, he was like, this is a very personal song to her, and I don't know if it would be a good idea to even suggest it. And that's where it's like, as a songwriter and as, you know, it's like you want your baby to go out like the best it can, like super polished and like hit everybody. And then you have someone like Jordin Sparks, who I know like streaming wise, her demographic is a lot of like single moms and stay-at-home moms, and she does really well. So you have to decide, like, is it worth me suggesting this? Or is this really just a song for her to sing, whether or not it gets 1,000 or 1,000,000 streams? And for that case in particular, I decided I was going to let it go. I wasn't going to try to switch or change anything. Like, as much as I kind of really wanted to. I just was
Oh,
like,
100%. I feel like that's got to be
yeah.
a constant battle in general whenever songs are floating around like that because of just the interpretation of it, you know?
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? She gave me the gift to realize that I needed to start turning my mind around for this. And I need to give her the gift of being able to release it and sing it how she wants. So that was kind of where I came to that resolve. And hopefully we'll see what happens.
Oh,
But
I love that. And with everything, you know, you were a lot of times you were writing with people in person, but have you been having to sort of like switch your approach when you're collaborating with people to something that's a bit more remote? Like, what
yeah.
skills have you had to pick up because of the pandemic? And like, because there's a lot of writers that I talk to that are like, oh, I can't collaborate with people because I can't be there with them. Or like there's people who live in another country or in another state or anything like that.
Mhm.
And I feel like if there's a positive thing that the pandemic's done, it's sort a little bit like disorienting and scary for a lot of reasons outside of music that are a lot more serious. But
Mhm.
in music, it's disorienting because suddenly music isn't centralized, right? It's decentralized. It's you don't have to go to LA, you don't have to go to Stockholm. You could write a song from anywhere. You don't even have to go be a part of a camp because a lot of times they would just move a group of people to like Cabo or somewhere in France or
Which I
wherever.
miss. I
Yeah,
cannot
which like look, we would all love to do that, but the reality is that technology allows for collaboration in a way that it's never been able to be done before. So you can be influenced by anyone from anywhere, and you can make these things happen. So I'm just curious, like um, like how have remote sessions gone for you, and what do you think of the technology that exists for that process currently?
I think for anyone who is doubting their ability to write, I think that it's possible that you just need to keep writing for yourself right now. If it's something you really want to do. I think that depending on another person in the flesh is you can't do that with anything, like not with music, not with work, not with love life. Like you really need to kind of hone your craft in that sense. I think that of course at the beginning of this it was so difficult because we aim for energy and connection. But if anything, it's made me have to. I went to school for music engineering. Like I was one of well, out of a class of 100, I was one of 10 that survived the class, and I was the only female. And then when I went to college, I was one of 35 females. So all the rest were men. And it kind of sucked because when I would have an issue, I'd say, hey, can you help me like figure out this thing? And they would just do it for me. And that was kind of a bummer. But now what this pandemic has showed me is that I can actually hone those skills again. Like I have this big microphone that's just hanging out over here. This looks really wrong, but whatever. It's like,
No, wait, what kind? Can you show everybody what kind of microphone that is? Is that
this
it
is
looks like
just
a blue.
this is a blue condenser mic. This is actually my mom's, believe it or not. I had her get it for podcasts and stuff. Well, she picked it out herself. I was
Oh,
very proud of her.
does your mom record podcasts?
She's trying to. She's trying to. She works with a lot of exchange students and she wants to kind of teach other people how to like bring them in and treat them like humans and not be like, let me talk to you really slow.
Yeah.
They're there to learn English and whatever and recipes and all that stuff. So she got it for that. And my dad plays drums and she was like, oh, this would be fun for you guys to jam out. Like my parents are entrepreneurs. So they're always thinking is, oh, we're in a pandemic, forward thinking. What can we do? Not what can't we do? Like, what can we do? Let's look at what we can do, not what we can't do. And I think, again, that's a thing with songwriting. It's okay, what can we do? Well, I can get a blue condenser mic. I think like the Snowball is only like $25 you can get. That's what I use at home. I'd like to get like a nicer one. But get a condenser mic, just play with that. Top lining, like ask for beats, get into GarageBand if you don't want to do, I mean, Logic has a free situation. Most of the time so right now I'm working with people in Copenhagen and Bucharest mostly, which is wild. And then I have had a few Zoom rights within Nashville. But most of the time, Greg has been part of my quarantine, or my MySpace top 8, as we like to call
Your
my
bubble.
quarantine. Yeah, so it's been really healthy and pretty great to be able to be like, hey Greg, what do you do tonight? You want to make dinner and like go hammered and try to write a song? So we're able to do that. But when it comes to writing overseas, they'll send me a track. I'll mute them. I'll do a top line melody. I'll send it back to them. So there's no delay. And then they'll go, oh, I like this, but what about this? And we'll do it with each other on the thing because there's not as much delay when you're just talking. I'll go, okay, I think I got that now. Or I'll record it on my voice memos. I'll mute them again. I'll re-record it. And then I'll sit there and I'll type the lyrics with them. And I use Google Docs a lot. Oh, I just saw someone's going to Copenhagen's the best. It's my favorite. I really want to move there, to be really honest.
I've never been, but I've been talking with people in Copenhagen a lot. Like I've
Chris,
never
let's go.
I've never been to Copenhagen. Yeah, I mean not right now. I'm not trying to go anywhere right now. I'm trying to just chill.
know.
I'm
I
in this
know.
room pretty much all the time, except for next week. I'll be out of town. But besides that, I'm here.
I got
So,
you. I got
but
you.
but no, and like I mean that's amazing, but like obviously not all songs that get written get released, right? Like some of them that like people call it song mountain, they call it whatever. But like, how do you choose between the songs that you keep for yourself and your projects, and versus like ones that you would be okay with like that process of like letting go and relinquishing it to the point where maybe a Jordin Sparks might change like the context of it, right? Because I feel like there's got to be some kind of line. I guess what does that look like for you?
I think for me, I'm pretty particular now. So like I understand this is like a fun, very vulnerable conversation we're about to have because I'm gonna maybe sound like a dick, but I'm gonna risk it. Um, I recognize that the place that I'm at now is not a beginner. I'm no longer a beginner. I'm no longer an intermediate. Um, I might not have like anything that's being nominated for a Grammy, and I might not be like on a billboard, but I do feel that I am on the same platform as a lot of my friends who have publishing deals. I think I'm able to say that and think that because of the holds that I've had with the people that I've had. I think I, you know, I'm a feature on Midnight Kids with RCA Records, which I'm really proud of. Like I was talking about
That
earlier.
that came out earlier this year, right?
Yeah, it came out like March 29th, like right when the pandemic was happening. We were
It's
really
so
excited.
wild.
We were really excited about possibly going on the road with it. And I was excited to like perform and like meet some new people, meet a whole new world of video gamers. And that song definitely for me is a video game song. And it's something that I want to pitch to video games. That all being said, I think that for me, when choosing who I'm going to write for and who I'm going to pitch for, um, sometimes I will write with someone that's newer because I need the therapy. I need to write. I need to get something out. And I know and I expect it not to go somewhere. And it might sound really shitty to say that, but like it's healthy for me. I literally cannot do life without writing music. There's no other option for me. I don't believe for my health, honestly. Like it's what I breathe and it's what I've been doing since I was a kid, climbing trees and writing music. Like there's a reason I was doing that, whether or not I knew it was a career. And I know a lot of people might say that. So whether it goes out anywhere or not, like I have to do it. So if I'm able to write with people who have a drive, who want to release it, great, but I don't really expect it. Now, when it comes to artists right now, I generally like I've had a couple people be like, "Hey, we've got this new artist. We really want you to write with it." I will ask them, "Hey, what's your plan?" And I've had a little bit of a some people not liking me saying this, and that's okay again. Because I'm independent, I have to value myself and my time. I still work several jobs full time, and I'm still working with JNSQ. I'm not just sitting here being able to do JNSQ. I wish. And he and I also are working on with a placement company called Milk and Honey out of New York. And we are trying our darndest to get something this year, but it's so hard because we're competing against signed writers who are not touring right now. So it's really difficult um doing that. And so when I get asked by anybody who's like, hey, we want you to work with our artists, and I ask them what their plan is, most of the time they say, well, we don't have a plan, we don't really have a sound, we need you to write this, we need you to do this. And then I find myself, or I have found myself, writing a whole plan for them, giving them a full sound, and then they release something, or they don't release it, they start shipping it out to labels, and then the labels like the sound, but then I'm not asked to go back on the team, even though I'm the one who helped create the sound. So then I'm left broke again. So when it comes to that, I've now asked, like, hey, this is how much I charge for a week. If you set up a writer's camp, I expect you to pay for everything. A lot of the time they get upset, and I have to say, well, I'm not signed to a publisher. And if you're unable to get a published writer, then you obviously need me. So there's a reason why you need me, and I have to value myself. So every time I've done that, thankfully it was a big risk, and it hasn't failed me yet. A lot of unfortunately, those artists, either they've been dropped, or they still don't know what they're doing with them.
And that's like
And
that's the majority, right? Like I think people think like the majority of artists know what's going on, but it's not true. It's that it's honestly it's the
they're,
smaller part of it. But
mhm.
I guess could you explain? So some people on here might not completely understand what a publisher's role in the equation is. And I know that you and I have talked about publishers a bit, but like from your perspective, like what do you feel like the publisher's role, and or where do you see the publisher's role like in the music business, and like why is that relationship one that you are like um
Interested in?
well, not only interested in, but that you're like that you're very like that you're paying attention to a lot because of your strengths, but like there's got to be other reasons. So I'm just curious, like if you could not only sort of explain what publishing is in a nutshell, because it's one of the most complicated parts of the business, but
Mhm.
as much as you can in a nutshell, then why it matters or why it should matter to anybody who wants to be a writer producer.
Totally. I was very much against like being signed to a publisher for a long time, because I was really excited that I was so independent. But now understanding like the value of them, but also understanding that it's not the end all of the world if you don't get a publishing deal. I've again been independent for years, and in some cases it's almost better to be independent. So a publisher's role, in my opinion, is to kind of be like not only a connector, but also for some people it's a validation. I've talked to some people who have publishing deals who they're only getting paid like $300 a month. Like they're like, but I'm getting like $6,000 a year, and I'm like, let's do the math. You're making $300 a month off these people. They're not setting you up with sessions. The ones that they're setting up with you are crap. You can make $300 working at anywhere. Like you can set up an OnlyFans account and get $300 in a month. Like it's fine. Um, and so for me, having something like, getting a publishing deal with something like Pulse, or, you know, I don't know, there's so many big
Warner
dog.
Chappell, Sony
Where,
TV,
yeah,
Universal
all of them.
Publishing, Music Group.
I think there's
Uh,
several things that you want to look at. Where are you on the totem pole? Like if I'm going to get a published deal with Sony TV, I need to have a representative that really believes in me and doesn't just say, "Oh, we like your music, let's put you over here," because then I'm not going to be writing with anybody. Um, I think also, like, who else do they know, and how much are they going to fight for you? Um, I don't think that a publisher's job is to make or break you. I think that that is what a lot of people think, like, oh, they're going to give me all this money and I'm going to sit back and do like nothing. and I'm just gonna like write and be awesome. Like
You're gonna work harder when you're
yeah,
whether that's like for an artist at a label or a writer at a publishing deal.
absolutely. I mean, like even right now, if I'm writing with a published writer, like if I like Black River will be like, hey, Josh Kerr, can you and Lisa go write together? It's like, yeah, we love each other. Let's do it. Um, I'm gonna check on those songs because they have so many songs. But if I hear through the grapevine, Demi Lovato's looking for a song. Oh, Josh, we wrote that really like Lovato heavy melody. Like we should pitch that. Oh, well, let me talk to my guys. Oh, that's actually a great idea. Like we are all human. However, a publisher is great because they have those contacts, they have those abilities, and it does help that they give you a little bit of money, but it's really like a small business loan. You either recoup or you don't. You're either gonna owe or you don't. But again, it's really, I think, to me is more like the network and the continuation of meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise if you weren't part of that.
And
Yeah.
Pio is asking, how do you pitch songs as an independent writer? I know that you and I have actually had some songs together. I mean, truthfully, like I feel like you worked with one of my artists that was super early on in her career, and it was like one of those things where I sit usually I'm having those conversations as an A&R person of like the artist is leading the conversation, and you're sort of having to play this like patience game of like balancing like figuring you because you can't figure it out for them, they've got to figure it out, but at the same time they figure it out through songs and deciding like usually one song at a time at first. And so and I frequently go back to Lottie and hear your version with Jacob, and then I hear G's version. But how do you, I know that those relationships happen, but like, is it just relationships for you where you're pitching songs, or like, how do you pitch songs as an independent writer?
So right now that has been a lot of it. I've been very lucky to meet the most random people that I've met. Right before my big breakup from 6 years ago, I actually met One Direction's manager, and we were supposed to start working with them, and then he left me, and it was like, well, screw you. I'm going to go to London for the first time in my life, and I'm going to go meet with freaking Harry Styles manager. And I did. I was like, screw you. Like, I'm going. And he and I sat down, and he sent me to Capitol Records, and it really kind of snowballed from that. Now, I don't want that to discourage. Like, that's the thing with that question. It's like, well, how do I meet those people? Like, very valid question. It's like, what do I do? So where I started even before that was by getting on LinkedIn and looking up music supervisors. They're very accessible, you believe it or not. And once you look up those there are so many, but you have to really do the research. I mean, as an independent person, it's like South by Southwest was great for that, because when I played, I ended up meeting very drunkenly a lot of music supervisors, grabbed their cards. Other than today, well, today's Friday, I actually don't drink Monday through Thursday. And so I've done that for years. And I was able to talk to a bunch of music supervisors, wasted them, think they didn't remember giving me their business card. And I hit all of them up, and I was like, hey, tell me about the shows that you're pitching for. Oh, cool. I love Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. I have all these like really poppy, fun songs. Can I send them to you? Awesome. I can. Cool. Do you like any of these? Sometimes they would say, these are really great, but there's another show and another music supervisor. We have to remember that we are human, and nobody likes not to be treated as a human. And I think we get so, I mean, it happens all the time in Nashville, right? People are like, hey, you're really good. We should write sometime. Like, I don't know anything about you. Why would I want to write with you? Thank you. I'm glad that I like exposed my inner insides and you appreciated them. But why would I want to write with you? You just seem like you want something from me, and that gives me anxiety, and I don't like it. So it's the same thing when you're dealing with the industry. It's like, hey, you're a music supervisor. Here's my songs. Like, they're not going to want that. So I think remembering that we're in a business of human emotions and still like business. And that's honestly where I started with that. crazy. I don't know if anyone knows who Katy Herzig is, but I was a huge fan of hers. I just loved her music. I don't know her personally. I just fangirled her so hard. And I knew someone in LA, a girlfriend of mine, who was doing Grey's Anatomy music. And I was like, I love this girl, Katy Herzig. Can you please, I don't know, here, do something with it. She's amazing. And she was like one of the main people on Grey's Anatomy's placements for a long time. And I ended up meeting her briefly at Third and Lindsley. And I was like, hi, my name is Lisa Go. She goes, you're the person who passed my stuff on to Grey's Anatomy. I was like, sure, cool. Can you sign my poster? Like, such a nerd. And that's kind of for me, even though I was helping her out, I realized, wait, I can do this for myself. And so I think that a lot of people can do that, or take meetings. Like if you know anybody in the publishing world, it's like, I mean, Chris and I have now been friends for a long time, that it's like, I mean, before he was gracious enough to like send my stuff off to publishers, I was like, I think I'm giving up. Maybe I should just get into A&R. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And he was like, no, we are going to resolve this. And I have so much to owe him as a friend and as someone who believed in my music, but also again, like, we had a human relationship. I've never wanted to just be like, hey, I'm coming over because I need to use you, Chris. And he would never do that to me, you know? So I think like focusing less on what you can get out of somebody and focusing more on like what you want to share with people, I think will kind of continue to open those doors. I think like that's why people are always like, how did you meet all these people? I was rollerblading and couldn't stop. And that's how I met Katy Perry. I fell in front of a bush in front of her house, y'all. Okay. Like
I was rollerblading and I couldn't stop.
I was rollerblading down the street. But yeah, she had to call my mom because I was scraped up in her middle of her bush. That sounds horrible, but also it was a true story. And she became my best friend that way. You know, it's like, I don't know many, the people that I know who have used people to get ahead have not gotten very far. They've gotten to where they thought that they wanted to go, and then everything was taken from them under the rug. And it's really sad, and it's horrible for them. So I'm glad they got what they wanted, but there's no longevity in that, you know?
Oh, 100%. But it's cool, that you're playing the long game. You understand that life is long, and like I don't think I would have personally given you that advice if I didn't think that it was one that you would understand, and also one that like I've also had to learn over the years. So we're gonna take a quick little detour for the very fun. So again, for the history of anybody who doesn't know, when I first made this channel, I asked my lovely wife Kristen
Oh,
what she thought could be great for channel rewards. And the first thing she said for some reason is like, what if you did a yeehaw or something? I can't remember exactly how it went. She could probably tell the story way better than me. But anyways, now we have a channel reward called Yeehaw, where we have to give our best yeehaw. And
okay.
and when I'm on an interview stream, all of my guests have to abide by the same rules that I have to abide by.
Okay.
So we're both going to give our best yeehaw. I'll go first, and then
Okay.
you'll go after, and we will then appease Ten Low Music's redemption of yeehaw. Thank you for using your 1,000 dopeness points for this. All right, yeehaw. All right.
Yeehaw! Feel like I
your
need a hat.
your mom your mom's like, take off your boots.
Take off your boots, honey. No, I think I told my dad, I was like, you can come down and be in it. I'm probably just going to drink a whole bottle of wine. You can come say hi, because he's hysterical, but he hasn't done that yet. It's probably
Oh man, he's probably watching the stream really high.
no, man, he's the funniest man alive. Like, so, okay, this is super random, but my dad is a really weird gift giver. He loves giving my mom gifts, but they are the weirdest things. And so one day we came home to two wooden sperm whales that it's made out of wood. Okay. They're two wooden sperm whales.
I thought you were saying that they were like sperm males made out of sperm. or something. Like that would be a weird gift. But like
They're
wooden
weird.
sperm whales is pretty like I don't know. Like you could find that in a thrift
They're
store.
6 feet tall. They're 6 feet tall.
Okay, no, you can't find that in the thrift store. Never mind.
No, no. And so
There's
I
two
just,
of them?
well, yeah, there's like a mom and like a baby. And they're together. All to say, like, I was like, Dad, did you know that sperm whales? And he goes, I know, it's really big. And I was like, no, Dad, no. Like, he's like the just funniest dad jokiest guy. And I was like, no, I was gonna tell you that they swim like this. True story. They just swim like this.
They just swim that way?
Yeah, with their faces like up to the sky.
I thought they just slept that way. I didn't think that doesn't make sense.
Well,
that
they
they
swim like this, but they just literally just chill like
chill,
this.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I knew that they chilled like this. I'm pretty sure
That's
nothing. I'm pretty sure nothing swims like this. That's like the anti like natural selection. Like you're dead if you swim like this. Could you imagine you're just like swimming and you're not using any feet, just going like this?
I mean, that's what I do, and I have my like floating device. You know.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyways.
Yeah, I guess seahorses, but seahorses don't really go that far cyclone, to be fair. They just chill and they hold on to stuff and they're like, I'm giving birth. I don't know.
Yes. Anyways, there's my dad and sperm whales and seahorses, and I tell everyone should watch Blue Planet. It's $20, but it's worth it.
Dude, no, it's the best. But look, Lisa, you said a bunch of nice things about me, but you being a champion of pop music and your relentless hysterical like nature has always been super inspirational to me. I'm glad to be your friend. Always glad to talk about whatever. I left the relationship stuff out of this because I feel like that's for another stream where we could talk about heartbreak and
Yes.
our experiences with it. We'll do that
on
your mom's podcast.
Yeah, we could do like a heartbreak. Like we could talk about heartbreak, and I could be like, I wrote this song about that, and then we can like share the songs or something.
There you go. No, I love it. But so I guess before we start going into to wrap this whole thing up, I want to know like, are there any songs right now that you are sort of just like obsessed with or like playing on repeat? It could be an artist that you're just really into right now. Like, would love to know. It doesn't have to be brand new. It could be an older artist you're returning to. It could be anything.
Well, I just saw that one girl that we saw, she's like the really colorful young girl. She just got signed to Warner, and I was really excited about that.
Madeline
I was
Everson.
like, yes. I'm so happy for her and proud of her for being as independent as she is and doing her own thing and kind of being like, I don't know, when you showed her to us, I related with her. I was like, I was that weird girl for so long, and it was really cool. So I've kind of been diving into her a little bit more. I mean, right now, yes. Well, and right now, like I've told Chris, I was going through a breakup. I have like a whole new look on it now where I've realized he needs to just take responsibility and admit that he broke up with me and he can't hang out with me anymore. You can't be friends after you break up. It's only been 6 weeks. Dang it. And it's kind of, I've been listening to a lot of Dua Lipa, a lot of Billie Eilish,
Break My Heart is like that anthem, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Billie's been getting me through a lot of, I mean, the I Love My Future Self, that new song. Oh God, it's so good. And it's so true. And Dua Lipa just kind of doing that whole, like, I don't really need to waste my time with this, like, kind of thing. Like,
and it's disco, like what you grew up with.
Yes. Yes. It's all that disco feeling. And it's just such powerful words. And like Lizzo, my dad, when I was like Thanksgiving, I was like crying about it and I was really having a hard time with the breakup. And my dad was like, you just gotta, get your hair done and do your nails. And like, and he just
here's a sperm whale.
Yeah, sperm whale. But he just started singing the whole Lizzo song. And I was like, actually, Dad, you're right. Like, I love this. Like, I love that there's music out there that instead of me just listening to only sad music and staying in that moment, that I can listen to these amazing pop women, and Asia being one of them as well. Like, I think lately I've been really focusing on like my she power a little bit, and um that's really what's been. I actually re-listened to a bunch of Gautier from the other day, and like,
Oh, dude, when we were listening to Heart's a Mess, like it reminds me of how much of a genius Gautier is.
he's a genius, and he made me realize like that's the kind of man I want to be with.
Oh, no, I love that, but no, for real, I can't one thank you enough for all that you've done for just like the pop scene and for welcoming, me from middle of Florida up to Nashville, just like being like, I like it here. I think there's pop. Like, would love to learn more about it. And like going into all those shows and everything, like you were always super kind with your time. It's funny, Wes is in here, like another massive champion of pop music in Nashville that I'm definitely hoping to have on the show at some point. It's just it's been really cool growing like with you guys and watching everybody like on their journey, and like the big thing that I love from the stream is that like success doesn't look like a perfect like lineup. Sometimes it looks like having that like aha moment in Hotel Cafe, and then like going to
Going to
Nashville
nothing
and
again.
starting all over to having, a release with a major artist to doing whatever. It's just like because the thing that keeps you in it is the love for the process and the
Mhm.
love for the just the that ability to go back to like why did I get into this in the first place? Like for me it was like seeing layers and layers of people on top of each other. Obviously not a thing you should do right now with COVID, but like that, like I just love the energy of just like nobody cared about the fool that they looked like or anything. It was just about that like visceral response to music. It's why I wanted to do Hell Yes. It's why I'm glad that you were on the show. And now we're at this point where you're gonna help us guide the stream to rate. We're gonna raid somebody now, and
Oh,
as you know, we like to support somebody who's doing music related stuff. And right now, like I could give you some options, or if you have somebody in mind, that's cool
I'm
too.
still learning the Twitch thing, which, by the way, because I know we've talked a lot about stuff and I can keep talking forever. But I am going to start a Twitch channel, and Chris and I were kind of talking about this earlier. But my plan is to use a lot of our Popoff Nashville artists to, like, on Fridays before this goes on, to send me their new music so we can do like a pre
Ooh, I like a
curation.
preview. I like it.
And then go into to whoever Chris is interviewing. So that is coming up. I just need to get on the Twitch and not be terrified of it. And you guys are all going to be forgiving when I mess up a ton because it's going to be great. But yeah, if anyone is interested in Popoff Nashville, I know we didn't really talk about it, but I'd love to give the history and love to
Oh yeah,
involve it.
I feel like we went down a couple tangents on
I
that,
know
but
we did. But info at Popoff Nashville, I ended up writing someone like a freaking novel today because they were like, there's nothing going on in the pop scene and I want to do a whiskey jam. And I was like, it's not safe to do a whiskey jam right now. I love Ward. I love that that's happening, but let's work together on something. So please info at Popoff Nashville if you're interested. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about it. And then with the Twitch thing, we'll just follow me and we'll figure that out. But as far as who we're gonna raid, give me some suggestions.
okay, cool. So so we'll start just like with somebody who might be a little bit more. There's two people who were previous guests on the stream. Young Gun has been having some struggles with his computer, so it could be cool to go and say hi to him. But he doesn't need us to be by there, but it could be cool for us to just go and say hi. But DJ Money Green is also doing his thing. But then there is It looks like there is a girl that is just it says hanging out in her bedroom playing songs. And then there's another one that's we shall sing album, casual Fridays. I'm pretty into
I'm
the casual
always about
stuff.
helping. I'm always about chilling with the underdogs.
Okay, so let's look at that. Let's look at do you want to look at singers? Do you want to look at piano players? What kind of thing are you looking for
Is there
in
anyone
your
like
stream where you want to
dancing?
support?
Is there any
Oh,
like,
dancing. Let's see.
yeah,
I'll put dancing. How about that? Oh,
like it is Friday night, right? I don't even know anymore.
dancing
I'm gonna go build gingerbread houses with Reham,
with the fan.
our exchange student. So our exchange student's so crazy and fun because she's like not allowed to drink. She's like never had done gingerbread houses. She's never made Rice Krispies treats. And so I feel like I'm so evil, like teaching her all these things. So we're gonna make gingerbread houses and just be girls and maybe make pizza. I don't know.
I love that. So I'm not finding anybody who's doing dancing, but
Boring.
maybe I'm looking at DJ to try to see if there's somebody who's DJing. It's so sometimes some of these DJ things I don't know if it's a real person who's streaming or if it's somebody else. So
I'm trying to think. So like there's this one time me and my roommates, if they're watching, sup, shout out. They love weird stuff. They are the nerds of the nerdiest. We always joke that we're the Big Bang house and I'm like the girl and they're teaching. I mean, like I wear glasses now. It's a thing. But there was one night we were watching this horse drink whiskey and he was listening to really good jazz music. And then there's this other guy, he's a frog and he just gives love advice.
okay, I like that. That he's a frog.
I don't know their names though. Yeah, he's a frog and he gives love advice. Gingerbread houses. Hold on. See, I'm finally seeing.
It looks like there's a duo. It looks like there's these two girls who are DJing.
Ooh, okay.
Wearing what looks like ugly sweaters. Like ugly Christmas sweaters.
That sounds like something.
I'm not judging their sweaters. I'm saying that they are wearing ugly Christmas sweaters.
But we can like get in the spirit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so let's get in the spirit. Let's hope that there's some dancing involved in the whole thing. Oh well, they have 2,000 viewers though, so.
Oh, that's no fun. Okay, let's find an underdog.
Let's find an underdog. All right, so.
Glitter is the I have like some like kid blocking system, so I can't see the cuss words.
No, it's good though. You mean parental control or whatever?
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what people have said.
Glitter is the herpes of the craft world. Yeah.
Herpes is a bad word. Interesting. I think that oh, someone said Blue Yeti is the jam or something. Yeah, I'll tell my mom that you said that because she'll be stoked.
All right. Well, you said you wanted to dance. We're gonna go and support our friend DJ Money Green, who we've interviewed in the past, because I'm struggling to find somebody that I'm like is in the Christmassy spirit. It looks like he just started up tonight, so let's go support him.
I'm down.
Say hello, but thank you all for being here. Thank you to Lisa for being here. Lisa Go. I will not be streaming next week for the holidays, but I will be back the following week. Wednesday, not next week, but the week after, is going to be the first joint listening music stream on a Wednesday. It's going to be featuring Grant Owens from We Found New Music. And it'll be really fun to just have two different perspectives, and maybe we'll like disagree on something and get into a virtual fight. Who fucking knows? But
that would be dope.
What I know is that I've had a great time talking to you tonight, and I'm excited to like. I feel like I'm like after every stream, I'm like gonna go eat tacos, but like I'm legitimately gonna go eat like some fajitas after this. So thank y'all. It was
fajitas last night, so
boom. It was a blast, but I am. Why? Oh, I did too many things. Hold on. Raid.
I miss everyone already. I hope we can do this again and just talk about Nashville pop music. Maybe we can bring in Wes. Maybe we can bring in like the Nashville pop crew and do like just question answer thing or something.
Oh yeah, we should have a whole. Oh, why is this going? Oh, it's not letting me do it. You know what? Screw it. Young Gun's been chilling and like having a hard time with his computer today. So let's just go give
Okay,
him some
Christmas.
love.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
There we go. We're raiding Young Gun, y'all. I'm sorry.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
But yeah, we're gonna do. I do want to do one that's like a group, like um, Zoom call at some point, and have everybody come through. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be really fun.
But yeah, for
I mean,
anybody who's in, click that you are available to raid, and we'll go and raid our friend Young Gun here in a second. I think you might have to do that on your end too, Lisa, since you're not on. Since we're talking on Zoom, but
oh, I'm in the. I'm
you
in
are
the.
you are in it. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
All right, awesome. Thank you again for being on. Everybody, say hi to Young Gun for us. Go show some love to Lisa Go on her Twitch channel, and I'm stoked for her first stream. I'll be the first subscriber for sure.
I'm so excited. Bye, y'all.
Later.